Hi everyone, today I'm going to be running through all of my Super Tuesday predictions 1, 2 and 3 for every single state. So this is going to be quite a lengthy process. I expect this video to take probably about 20 minutes or so, but yeah, so I'm going to run through all of my Super Tuesday predictions. Today is in fact the day of Super Tuesday, so right now 7:30 around then in the morning at the time I'm recording this Eastern time, so this would probably be up by about 8:30 or so, and Super Tuesday is tonight, so it's going to be very interesting to see what happens. But these are my rundown of predictions, so I'll start with the biggest state, and the format for all of these, I'm going to show the polling data. I'm going to, if there is any, a few states still don't have any polling data, I'm going to put the Real Clear Politics list of polls with the 4 polls, in this case California. There are 4 polls that have come out that they deem relevant, and then if there is a graph, I will also have a screenshot of that graph as well for your viewing pleasure. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens. But California, let's get right into it. California right now, if pretty much right now we've just got 4 candidates left, and those happen to be the top 4 in the most popular states. Sanders, Biden, Warren and Bloomberg are still left in the race. Everyone else has indeed already dropped out. So Sanders, Biden, Warren and Bloomberg still in this race. I expect Buttigieg dropping out, net support Biden, which would lift him a bit, and Klobuchar dropping out again, also net supporting Biden. I don't really think Steyer dropping out will have a significant impact on the race. Tulsi Gabbard is still running, so anyway, but 4 sort of candidates that matter so far: Sanders, Biden, Warren and Bloomberg. So my predictions here, format again, the middle, which has the biggest picture, is first place on the left, with a slightly smaller picture is second place, and then on the right a smaller picture there in third place. So California predictions, my 1, 2, 3 is Sanders, Biden, Bloomberg. Almost all of these candidates feature in the top 3 in almost every single contest, so Warren getting shut out of the top 3 in most contests, but there is a few contests where I do have her in the top 3. But California predictions, Sanders 1, Biden 2, Bloomberg 3. Okay, in Texas, 2 recent polls from Emerson and from CBS News. The Emerson poll has Sanders leading, and the CBS News poll has Sanders also leading. It's worth noting that in this Emerson poll, this was done slightly after Sanders won South Carolina, which does not show that actually he's slightly increased 4 to 5 since the South Carolina, so that's an interesting situation. However, I do expect Biden to continue to outperform his numbers in Texas, given his strong South Carolina. My 1, 2, 3, Sanders still coming first, followed by Biden, followed by Bloomberg. That means Sanders has a 1-2 punch of the first 2 biggest states. He had a 1-2-3 punch in the first 3 early states. He has a 1-2 punch in the biggest states. Moving on, in North Carolina right now. North Carolina, right now the polling data, a bit all over the place. We have not had a poll since Biden's South Carolina victory. I expect that would help him, and even the polls before then still showed Biden leading. So I expect Joe Biden to actually end up winning there. Bloomberg, I expect to underperform, as most of the voters voting for Bloomberg are only voting for him because they think Biden won't be able to win. They need permission. So again, 1, 2, 3. My 1, 2, 3 for North Carolina is Biden, Sanders, Bloomberg. In Virginia, the polls right now may make it look like Sanders is surging, and indeed he is in Virginia. Biden +5 going to a tie, going to Sanders +9. However, all of these polls were taken after Biden's South Carolina win. So for a variety of factors, I'm actually, despite the most recent poll having Sanders +9, I am going to actually give Biden the lean here. Because if you take a look, if you dig deep into the data, it seems there's also a bit of a Buttigieg surge going on. It seems like there's a bit of a Warren surge going on, and Bloomberg staying roughly the same, Biden staying roughly the same, Sanders also surging. So with Bloomberg now out, his surging 12%, I expect most of it to go to Biden. I expected Bloomberg to do relatively well in Virginia, better than most people, better than his average at least, and Klobuchar also. So that 12 plus 5 is 17. Now, obviously, all of that is not going to go for Biden, but maybe out of 17, maybe 9 goes to Biden. That boom gets him up tied with Sanders at 28. Now you can expect Sanders to get 3-4% of that vote, so maybe that inches him up a little bit. However, there is another factor, is that Biden does get momentum from South Carolina. That pushes him up 4 points, and boom, you've already got a tie. And then you also have to consider Bloomberg dipping. That's going to give support for Biden and just a general Biden surge. And also Virginia. I actually saw a new poll that had Biden leading. However, it wasn't included in this RCP. He was leading by a wide margin. I think Biden will narrowly edge out a Virginia win, 1-2-3 Biden, Sanders, Bloomberg. In Minnesota, so the two polls that we have out right now show Klobuchar +6. Obviously, now that Klobuchar has exited the race, that's going to be interesting, but sorry about that, Minnesota, actually I haven't got a projection for Minnesota. There's my projection for Minnesota. Sorry about that, but that's meant to be Massachusetts polls, and unfortunately I don't have a copy of Massachusetts polls out right now. But overall, Sanders is leading. Mostly, he is leading in all the recent polls. Warren sort of had a bit of a dip in the latest poll. She's starting to catch Sanders, but my 1-2-3 in Massachusetts, it's Sanders, Warren, Biden, and then Minnesota, Klobuchar +6. But my 1-2-3 is going to be Sanders, not like that. I'm going to put in Minnesota itself, Sanders, Warren, Biden. So incorrect graphic there. Sanders, Warren, Biden. And the reasoning for that is that look at Biden right now in Minnesota, 8%, 9%. Okay, you give him a 3% bump. He gets up to like 12% max. Sanders is at 23%. It's going to be interesting to see where the Klobuchar vote goes. So maybe you do see Biden in second place, but it will be interesting. So just for reference, Sanders 1, Warren 2, Biden 3. That's my projection in Minnesota. That graphic is incorrect there. So I will be changing that. So when we recap, it'll be all fine. Colorado polling shows Sanders with a healthy lead. No polls have been conducted after South Carolina, but no polls conducted outside of South Carolina. Buttigieg seems to have a little bit of strength going in Colorado. Same thing, a bit more than usual that we've seen from Klobuchar. So you might see Biden get a bit of a bump, but that won't be enough to overtake my 1-2-3 Sanders, Biden, Warren in the state of Colorado. In Oklahoma, again, wrong graphic, I regret to tell you. This is, I believe, I really need to check my graphics next time. I'm very sorry, this is not Oklahoma polls, but my Oklahoma 1-2-3 is Biden, Bloomberg, Sanders. The Oklahoma polls, I believe one of them had Bloomberg +6 and then the other had Biden +1. Arkansas shows Bloomberg +1, but my 1-2-3 is Biden, Sanders, Bloomberg. This was conducted This was conducted in early February, which was right when there was quite a bit of Bloomberg momentum, the bloom surge in February, but so it's going to be interesting. But Arkansas polls Bloomberg +1. And then, so I expect Biden to get a bit of a bump. Sanders maybe fall a bit. Bloomberg fall a bit. So my Arkansas 1, 2, 3 is Biden, Sanders, Bloomberg. Alabama, no recent polls have been conducted. So I'm just going to say Biden, Sanders, Bloomberg. Same thing with Tennessee. And the reasoning behind both of these, Biden, South Carolina. He did well in South Carolina. But, and so I expect momentum, and also I expect Bloomberg to underperform. Utah polling Sanders with a healthy lead. No word yet on how this will affect after South Carolina. So you can expect Biden to get a bit of a bump from Buttigieg and Klobuchar dropping out, along with Bloomberg dipping. But right now in the latest poll, take a look at this, at 6%. 6% in Utah, which is not good at all. So I do expect my 1, 2, 3 to be Sanders, Bloomberg, Biden. In the state of Maine, the latest poll shows Sanders +9. Not very recent. I expect Sanders to win by a smaller margin. But my 1, 2, 3 Sanders, Biden, Bloomberg. And in Vermont, I mean, we got to have a bit of fun here. Vermont, the latest poll conducted by Vermont Public Radio, Sanders +38. 51, and he would get 100% of the delegates if it turned out like this. But just for a bit of fun, take a look at this 1, 2, 3 Sanders home state. Vermont, take a look at this. Sanders projected to win massive margin. You can see Biden in second, tiny in the corner, and then Bloomberg, tiniest. Bloomberg in the third, but Vermont predictions go something like that. Okay. So here's the rundown of all of the states and my 1, 2, 3s for all of them. It's taken a while to put this slideshow together, but if we just run through all of these, and I'll briefly go through my reasoning. California, my 1, 2, 3, Sanders, Biden, Bloomberg. Sanders is leading in the polls by a significant margin. It's pretty clear Sanders is definitely going to be the number 1. I will just provide analysis very briefly for the first place, not go into second and third, because I know everyone's anxious to get on to Super Tuesday results. Texas, Sanders, he's leading in the polls by quite a margin. South Carolina, victory for Biden, I think will impact, but not as much as some of the southern states. North Carolina, Biden, he's leading in the polls. South Carolina is only going to help him. Virginia, now this is an interesting one. Sanders is leading +9 in the latest. Overall, you could say it's pretty much a tie in Virginia, but I think Buttigieg's strong support in Virginia will go to Biden, pushing him over the finish, along with South Carolina. Massachusetts, Bernie Sanders. Warren's really struggling. Bernie's leading in the polls. Biden's significantly behind. Minnesota, again, Biden significantly behind. I think he will get a boost, but I think he'll only get to second. Bernie's the obvious winner. Colorado, Bernie. Natural fit for him. Natural state for Bernie. It's going to be interesting to see how that goes. Oklahoma, Arkansas, Alabama, Tennessee. All of these 4 southern states all go to the former Vice President Joe Biden. Utah, Bernie Sanders. Maine, Bernie Sanders. Vermont, Bernie Sanders. All in the northeast except for Utah. And they should probably go to Bernie. So that's it for today's video, guys. Thank you so much for watching this rundown. So overall, in terms of wins for each of the candidates, Bernie leads with 8 wins, followed by Joe Biden with 6. Bernie's wins come from the 2 largest states. Joe Biden with 6 wins, and those are the only 2 people to pull out. Victories, in terms of second place, Warren was able to manage 1 top 2 finish. Bernie, 13 out of the 14 are top 2 finishes. For Warren, 1 out of the 14 were top 2 finishers. For Joe Biden, there were 12 out of 14 that were top 2 finishers. And for former Mayor Michael Bloomberg, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Only 4 were in the top 2. And in terms of top 3, Bernie, all of his were in the top 3. Biden, all of his were in the top 3. And for New York City Mayor Bloomberg, most of his were indeed in the top 3. I believe 12 out of 14. And then for Warren, 2 out of 14 were in a top 3 finish. So that's it for today's video, guys. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope I will see you all back after Super Tuesday. It's going to be very interesting tonight to watch these results come in. But that's it for today's video, guys. Thank you for watching, and I hope to see you all in the next one. Peace.